We have a yellow Humpy in the vase here, and this DVD is dedicated to Peter O'Reilly, who was a member of Humpy Ireland. Actually, he was Humpy Ireland, and as well as being a friend of us all, as well as of him being a colleague of us all in Humpy Ireland, he's also a very good friend to every single one of us. We all respected him very, very highly. The reason why the Humpy's in the vase, this was one of his specialist flies. He tied these here and sold them at the game shows and probably in mail order and stuff like that. Very, very popular fly. Worked well at mayfly time. This is a size 10. They came from everywhere to buy these often because they were successful, obviously. Good at mayfly time. And Peter had his own sort of dimensions in tying this. And in Peter's memory, I'm going to show you how he went about it, or try and show you how he went about it. Right, I have a size 10 hook in the vase now. It's actually a partridge standard dry fly size 10 SLD2. They're barbless, quite a good hook for doing anything if you're working on catch and release, because you can release the fish pretty easily because there's no barb. And they're quite a good hook. The shape of them, they're curved slightly upwards. It means that you get a good hook hold and you don't do the fish an awful lot of harm. I'm not sure what hooks Peter tied them on, except that I know they were size 10 dry fly hooks. There could have been cameras on, there could have been whatever, there might even have been partridge. But anyhow, irrelevant there. So the first thing we do, and I use cream, Danville's Flymaster cream thread for this. And I start just behind the eye, maybe about 2 turns back from the eye. Somewhere approximately there, and I tie down the hook in touching turns, and then back to a point where I'm about a quarter of the way down the hook, somewhere about there anyhow, leaving about maybe a third to a quarter of the way down the hook. Next thing now for the wing is elk, natural elk hair, and elk's a bit more robust than deer hair, simply because it stacks well. So if I cut a slip of this here out, enough to make a wing, 2 wings, and Peter's dimension was the wing should be the length of the shank, somewhere from my thumbnail to the eye, probably about that there, and it should consist of double it. If I twist it here like so, it should be about double the thickness of the hook eye, each particular wing. So that's approximately it there. So I don't know how many fibres that is. If you're tying them, you just have to work it out for yourself, because I'm not going to stand and count them. Okay, so we'll cut those out, put them in the hair stacker like so, and insert them in the hair stacker. Give them a few taps to level the tips. And there's 2 ends in this hair stacker. There's a bulb end here at the back, and the flared end at the front. So I need the tips to come out over the eye, so the bulb comes to the front. And you'll see now that the hair is pretty well stacked. Take that out into your left hand, change hands and measure the dimension of the wing. Should be that length from the 2 points I've mentioned. Then come right round and a full turn, another full turn, pull in now and tighten backwards towards the bend. Several turns, that's maybe 5, 6 or 7 turns. At that point, now don't let go of the butts, just tilt them slightly upwards, come in with your scissors and clip, and we'll get a tapered point. A couple of wee hairs we missed there, take those out. And if you want to trim that down a wee bit, feel free to do so. Take some of the bulk out of the thorax. Now, if I start to pull now, that'll flare around the hook. So come onto the bare hook, several turns down towards where the bend would be, or where the bend is, and then come over these tip ends, or butt ends, and now they should you should be able to hold them in place without flaring them and without twisting them round the hook again. And there we have it in a carrot shape. Back up to just behind the wing. Pull all the fibres upwards. A couple of them trapped there. You can free those by just looking at them and push them back with your thumb. Hold them in place and come in several turns in front of the eye. Sorry, in front of the wing, to make it stand vertical. Like that's 10 or a dozen. And now with the wing standing up. So what we do now is, I'll turn the face to show you this. Put your thumb in here and wriggle back and forwards, and these will break into two groups. And we want the two groups to be similar in bulk. So when we've established that, come in figure of 8 between, figure of 8 the other way. Then come in with pulling turns of thread. Now if we pull, the wing will flare. So come round the body a couple of times and do the same on the other side. Now just to give you an example, if I pull that, the wing starts to flare immediately, which we don't want. So I'll take that off again and do that again. This time I do soft loops, soft turns, and then rather than pull the thread to extend it, I take it off gently. Have a wee quick look now at the wings position, and they're sitting pretty well. Now, I figure of 8 through, figure of 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, just making crosses, and that stabilises the position of the wing and keeps it from closing totally. Now we'll come back down to just below that hump behind there. If there's any loose hairs at this stage, you can remove them with your scissors. Now making sure not to cut the thread, obviously, which I've done several times in my past. Right, next thing now is we need a tail, which will be tail of more elk, slightly less than one wing. Material for one wing would make the tail. So I've taken that out. This is a bit of a minute to tell you about. Before you stack stuff, make sure you clean the garbage out of it. Just by hitting it with your scissors there, you might see that flying out. The other way you can do is a knit comb. And just put the knit comb that they use at schools, teachers use at schools, nurses used to come in. That takes the rubbish out. Put them in the stacker. I should have showed you this when I was doing the actual wing a wee bit better, but this is the same procedure. In the stacker, couple of sharp wraps. This time take them out over the opposite side. And you'll see that they're reasonably well stacked. So take them out. And again, the tail should be approximately the length of the body, somewhere about there. So set them in the tying in point there, and clip just above the thread there. Gives you a point now for tying in. So set them back on just slightly above the thread, loose turn, tighten. Now tighten those right in. And from here down the hook now, the turns will start to get loose, and back up. And if you tighten it any time, it'll flare. But now we can put some tight turns on, but don't come past the very end turn of thread at my nail. And then come back up to behind here again, behind the wings again. About 2 turns of hackle back from there. Now we need material for the hump, which again will be a small portion of deer hair, something like this here, if I can demonstrate this. It's a wee bit awkward because I'm leaning over the top of the camera which is to make it easier for you to see that what I'm doing. When I get those off, I don't actually need to stack those this time, because what I can do instead of stacking them is use my scissors and just straighten the tips. Set them in again, just in between the wing there a wee bit, and slide back slightly, tighten in. And now again, I'm going to weave this back and forwards to keep it on top of the hook shank, and come right down to a point here where we tied the wing in, so that if I lift that up over, the hump up over, you won't see turns of thread below it. Now we're coming back up to the position where we started there. And from here now, we need a body of yellow floss. Peter did them in several different colours, orange and red and stuff like that. I'm doing this in yellow because the yellow one I feel is the best for mayfly representation. I could be wrong about that. I have just opinions, which are quite often right and quite often wrong, so make up your own mind about that one. Sliding the floss back and then tightening in on it and stopping the thread at the point where the hackle will go in. Wrap down the hook, and you can twist this to tighten it, this floss to tighten it. And down the hook now to the hump or the tail, and back up. And ideally you want to make this sort of tapered, and just watch you don't catch the fibres of the wing at this point. And you want to actually make this a wee bit tapered if you can, as you come up the hook. Something like what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to stop here and tie this off. 2 or 3 tight turns. There's 1, 2. Now, take away the surplus of the yellow floss. Next stage, the hump comes over the top. So we gather all the loose fibres of the hump and bring them in between the wing here. 2 loose turns. 1, 2. Then catch in with your left hand, tightening the hump over, and a couple of tight turns now. And that'll keep them in place. And at this point now we need to cut the surplus out. Just gather these all up again and put the scissors in between the 2 wings, making sure not to cut into the hump, otherwise you'll distort it and probably have to do it all again. Any bits and pieces you're not happy with at this stage you can cut out. I'm happy enough with things as they are. Next comes a hackle, which is red game, and I'm going to tie this with the convex side up. In other words, the hill up in the air. The both ways are downhill from there. How I prepared it is, on the bottom, strip the stock of the hackle. On the bottom I've come back to here, and on the top I've come back a wee bit further to where my thumb is there, or on the top. When I start tying in the hackle or winding the hackle, it'll allow me to tie it in straight. Now, if I come back with the stem, show a wee bit of stem here just at this point. Don't tie the hackle tight to the thread. Leave a space. 2 turns, 3 turns behind. Pull the wing forward or rearwards and tie in with 2 or 3 turns here. Maybe that was more. And remove the surplus, making sure again not to cut the thread. And we'll have a couple of wee loose ones here I'm going to take out. There's 1 and there's 2 more. Only I missed those. Right, I think I still missed them, but nevertheless. So next thing now comes our hackle pliers. So we'll set our hackle pliers in here at this point and catch the hackle Unwind from here, push the wing forward again here so we don't trap it. And every turn goes in front of the previous one. And see how that starts the hackle going reasonably straight round the hook in the full 360, nearly in a straight line. And there's 3 turns behind the wing. Pull the wing rearwards and come in front. 1, 2. What I forgot to say was I'll leave the thread tight to the wing when I stop, and then every turn here pushes the thread towards the eye, and subsequently that keeps the hackle from straying forward too quickly. And when I get about 3 or 4 turns on that, whatever you can get on it, hold this up vertical without the bobbin holder trapped, and then come in here with a couple of turns. You can pull these back a wee bit with your bobbin holder and your hackle. Get about 4 turns in there. Take away the pliers. Now, what I like to do finishing a fly is pull everything back. Use my 2 fingernail, a thumbnail and fingernail of my left hand, and come in behind the eye and start building rearwards to build a head. Maybe 5 or 6 turns. This wee bit can now be taken away. Again, being careful not to cut the thread. And if you want a black head on them, you can change the thread, but I don't. I just use a permanent marker. I give myself about 3 or 4 centimetres, maybe 5 centimetres of black, and then whip finish with 3 or 4 turns. Again, pull everything rearwards, come in there, and you're sorry, I missed that turn. Start again. Come in rearwards and start again, and come up the eye of the hook there with your turns of whip finish. There's about 4, maybe 5. Now what you can do from here is you can varnish here on the thread. We drop a varnish on the thread, and that will give you a secure tie off. So I just put my scissors into the loop there and come in now. That'll probably mess the eye up, so that when you go to tie a fly on, the eye might be blocked. What you do to prevent that is you take a small piece of hackle that you haven't used, maybe an end, something like this here, and you put it through the eye of the hook, if you can see to put it through. I'm missing it for some reason. My eyesight's in bad position. That's it in now. And just pull that through, and that'll clean the eye out so that you don't have any problem when you go to fish. You're not standing with something, a hook or whatever, to try and clear the eyes. And that gives you a nice replica of what Peter, the dimensions and the method that Peter used for doing these. It gives you a nice fly, easy to see, very visible on the water, and it's thanks to Peter that we actually probably are able to do these with his example. Thank you very much.